So, hi, Janie.
Hi, John.
Um, I'm wondering what you thought about our session yesterday in terms of process and what we heard, where we asked people about to give us feedback.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Not that many people came. I think it was only four, four people, five people.
Yeah, something like that.
And um, and there was some initial light positive feedback, but what ended up happening was we really got into a deep conversation about our community um, and our community values
Hmm.
and how much of our energy we should be spending looking inward and how much of our energy will be going outward in terms of connecting to other communities so that other people will know about us enough to want to come check us out as a
Yeah.
community.
Yeah,
And
I
that
thought that
that really
was
stuck with me.
me too.
And actually, after that conversation, I was talking with Allison,
Hmm.
and she said, I think that you really have to have both, because if we're not connected to ourselves as a community, if we're not really practicing together and connecting over our practice and really caring for each other, what what can we invite others into? But then at the
Exactly.
same time, we also have to be kind of reaching out.
Right. Right.
So that was my takeaway.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really impressed with the that that the people who were there had a lot to say, and that there was a lot of really good thinking about, well, um, who are we and what are we doing, and all of that. And I mean, I thought it was meaningful that, well, first of all, it was a beautiful day. So maybe, and it's in the middle of Rose Festival, So maybe people, have better things to do than to sit around and talk about uh, John and Janie, certainly, or about leadership of Shambhala. But, you know, and I have to say that in some ways I had the kind of, it, I imagined, oh, well, what if people are uh, kind of at the gate with pitchforks and, you know, flames and stuff like that. And that wasn't the atmosphere at all. In fact, the feedback wasn't particularly about us. It was about, where we're going as a center and what we need to do. And so that was great, I thought. And afterwards I was thinking, well, this is something where we should explicitly put that kind of topic on the agenda, you know every 3 months, is just say, okay, let's have one of these, and much smaller scale and more informal
Yeah.
than uh, than kind of a town hall, which is kind of a larger scale kind of event.
Yeah, I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved the conversation that ended up happening. I had sort of expected that there wouldn't be that many people offering feedback, because I know you and I have been asking people and kind of reaching out to the community, asking, inviting feedback in
Yeah.
our letters, emails, I mean, and we still haven't gotten very much feedback.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It just is
Yeah.
what it is. But I think so. So those of you watching this, if you have any feedback for us, we welcome it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's kind of food for the work that we do. Like, we're
yeah,
doing this kind of organizing stuff in Shambhala without the context of feedback, gets is seems questionable to me. Like, um, you know, yeah, like how would we know what's needed if we don't hear from people about, what what's useful?
yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I think it was helpful for us to think in advance about, what would be useful. It's kind of, because in some ways we're kind of really reorienting the idea of leadership, of saying that leadership is a kind of collaboration and a relationship with people who are in the community. It's not like us standing on the mountaintop being separate. In fact, I mean, that was really something that struck me about yesterday was, just kind of like we were really kind of very involved. Just the way that it felt so intimate was kind of in itself a kind of feedback about, well, what is leadership? Well, it's not something that happens at a distance. It's something that happens right close up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say, especially considering that we're not enlightened,
Yeah,
and it takes more. We might need bigger messages
yeah.
in order
Blunter.
to know what to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, well, I think that does it for this topic. And we'll see what comes up for next week or the next time we do one.
I have an idea.
Yeah,
So I loved where that conversation went. It was very in depth. It was very poignant. It was very real. And it was also, I felt like it was also grounded in practice.
yeah,
Um, I would like to have more of those conversations. And I like your idea of having an open conversation every other month, but I wonder if
yeah,
it might make sense for us to hold a salon or something and really
yeah,
create more spaces for us to have an open conversation that's kind of more in depth
yeah,
about our community.
yeah. I
That's all.
think actually the notes from that meeting yesterday might be very interesting to a larger group. Like often, because we've kind of kept notes about some of our community topics, community conversations, more private and then published a summary. But in this case, we might just publish the whole shebang. So more to think about. Turn off the recording and say bye.